Hey everybody, it's Gene Harris, your friendly neighborhood police chief, back at you in April. Wanting to welcome you to the month of April and a happy Easter to everybody out there and all you Gabrielinos. I want to give you a couple of updates before we get to the actual 411. One primary update is the COVID update that we like to give our folks. We also give these updates at every city council meeting. It's a short update this time around as we're starting to open up and starting to feel some of the comforts of trying to return back to some normalcy. But we're still trying to abide by all of the county and state rules and the public health rules that still exist. So we want to make sure to remind folks that we're not out of the woods yet. Make sure we're still paying attention to the social distancing, wearing our masks, and following all of the social rules that we need to do, the social distancing. You can find those rules on our website, at the city website, along with the LA County Department of Public Health website as well. So please, let's keep it going in the right direction so we can continue getting back to normal. The next update is I want to remind you that with regard to the schools and the reopening, it also goes along with the COVID stuff, and that is that both of our school districts, the San Gabriel Unified School District and the Garvey School District, will be reopening here shortly, and we have some dates to give you. So for San Gabriel Unified, TK through second grade, they're going to be opening on April 6th. So the kids will be returning back to school, and that's a good thing. Yay! Right? For Dewey School, which is in the Garvey School District, that'll be on April 12th. TK through second grade will be going back to class. And again, back to San Gabriel Unified School District on April 19th. The third through fifth grade students and seniors at Gabrielino will be returning back to school. So that's another good thing. Welcome back, kids. And then on April 26th, again at Dewey, we'll have welcome the rest of the students back, which is the third grade through the sixth grade. So those are some dates that you can get from the school district websites, but we wanted to give you a heads up here for those people who live in the city of San Gabriel so you can get a head start on getting that ready for your kids. Another announcement is on April 24th, we'll have the DEA drug take back. That is an opportunity for people to turn in expired prescriptions and bring them in and with no hassle, just dump them, drop them off, and they can be disposed of properly through the DEA protocols. We ask that you not bring anything that can hurt someone, no sharps, no needles, or anything like that, just expired prescriptions. And certainly no illicit drugs. Don't bring any illicit drugs to the station to drop them off because you'll probably be arrested. But any of the other drugs, prescriptions, expired prescriptions, we'll take happily and turn them over to the DEA. So remember, that's on April 24th. So with that, we also want to remind you that we have a new video on our YouTube channel, our City PD YouTube channel, and it's a day in the life of a San Gabriel police officer. And it is a really good rendition of just one day following one of our officers through the daily grind and getting a chance to look at what it is that occurs here in the city of San Gabriel and with our police department. I encourage you to take a look, and if you have any suggestions, questions, or concerns, feel free to give me a call directly or contact our Community Engagement Bureau, and you can speak to either Stacy Gutierrez or to Dane Woolwine, our folks over at that bureau. So with that, we'll move on into 411 with the Chief. Well, first of all, I don't know what the Community Safety Force is. I've never heard of that. I don't think it is an official instrument of the city or the police department. However, we are trying to encourage members of the community to see something, say something. That will always be our mantra. We want folks in the community to do some of their part in protecting themselves, and that's simply by keeping your eyes open and reporting anything that you think is suspicious or any crimes that may be out there so that we can come out and make an assessment. We encourage folks to call the police department whenever there is an issue, and we will respond forthwith and get out there and try and address it. And if it's a criminal problem, we will deal with that. If it's a quality of life problem, we will deal with that as well. We have many different instruments within our police department to deal with that variety of problems, and we've become very adept at taking care of that. So the biggest thing we want to teach our people is to make sure that they're calling. Get engaged by calling. We also tell folks through all of our programs, our volunteer program, our Citizens Academy, or Community Academy, that we don't want people engaging folks unless it's an extreme emergency and there's no alternative. We don't want people to engage anyone. We simply want you to report it. Observe and report, and let the professionals come out and decide what needs to be done to solve that particular problem. So we are not encouraging people to take the law into their hands, and certainly don't want vigilantism or any of those issues. We want to make sure that we are addressing it and just getting people to get engaged. Another issue that we want to make sure that we are dealing with is trying to get the right resources out to whatever the problem is. And so that requires a call into our dispatch center, and our dispatchers have been specially trained to determine whether it's a mental health issue and maybe in need of some resources other than a uniformed police response, or whatever other response we may need to put together or fashion so that we can best handle the problem. A lot of it has to do with some of the changes that we've been experiencing, some of the reports that we've been getting with similar things like the reported rise in Asian hate. And so we in San Gabriel are participating in a program. In fact, we are coordinating the program for the Stop the Asian Hate working group, which encompasses all of the police departments in the San Gabriel Valley. Captain Nakamura is the coordinator of that program, our very own Captain Nakamura, and we're proud of the efforts. And what those efforts are is to put out information to members of those communities so that they can know how to protect themselves by employing all of the best safety techniques, not walking when it's dark if you can wait for an hour and walk during the day, making sure that you're visible and are aware of your surroundings, making sure you're not leaving valuables in cars so that people will target your vehicle. Unfortunately, crime is up in LA County and throughout the state. It's up. There's a tremendous spike in crimes. And so it is contingent upon us to make sure we're paying attention and helping ourselves in that endeavor. Police will always respond, but of late there has been some defunding efforts and some refunding efforts, moving some of our enforcement dollars into other arenas to try and deal with some of the contemporary problems. But it should also be noted that some of the larger agencies have started to replenish those accounts because of the crime increases and spikes. That's an important thing to note, as well as the fact that we were not defunded here in San Gabriel. We received the standard funding for our law enforcement and providing the knock your socks off service, 100% of our service delivery, and we are definitely representing the members of this community in the most professional, ethical way possible. So I encourage people, again, to get involved. If you have any questions, you can call me directly. You can reach out to our Community Engagement Bureau or any of your district lieutenants if you need to get any type of information. Feel free to consult our website to see who your district lieutenant is, and feel free to give them a call directly to handle any quality of life issues or anything that might arise. With that, again, I want to welcome you to April, tell you Happy Easter, and go Gabrielinos.
Hello, this is Greg DeVink, the Public Works Director and City Engineer for the City of San Gabriel, and this is the April edition of 411 with the Chief. I have a few things to discuss as progress with Public Works in the City of San Gabriel, and I do have a piece of show and tell, which I'll go into in a minute. So we've put in more effort at the police department this month, where there was an existing trailer used by staff and storage, and it had to be relocated. It's a large 40-foot portable office trailer that's been in the same place for a very long time, and we relocated it to accommodate a new design of traffic flow in the back parking lot. And in moving it, we had to cut the power, cut the data, pull the service from Edison, run new power and data from the police station, and the skirt all around the bottom had rotted, dry rotted, and I could actually push my finger through the 2x8s around the frame. So we are reframing the rotten wood and putting a new skirt on it, and anchoring it back down to a new pad area. So that took some time. The carport project is finished over there, where 12 cars are now parking in the newly paved and striped and painted and rotten wood replaced and re-roofed carport area. So that went very well, and I think staff at the police department is very happy to see the improvements. And it's also a new color scheme of gray and blue with a blue stripe, and that sort of matches more of a police feel to the whole area back there. For the fire department, we will be moving to the South Fire Station to remove or to gut and remodel their entire main fire station bathroom for staff. However, before we started, asbestos was discovered. Not a lot, but an abatement company had to be hired to clear it out. So that's happening now, and probably within 2 weeks I expect we'll have staff over there remodeling that bathroom. Our contract for tree trimming, we switched from West Coast to North Star in a competitive bidding process, and North Star is now out there grid pruning sections of the city We were a little behind because the contract with West Coast had expired and we weren't grid printing for a few months. And now we're catching up, so we expect to do 3 of 10 sections of the city, which is 30%. We're hoping to get that done this fiscal year, which ends at the end of June. Public Works is currently going through a hiring process for a Mechanic 1. We will be doing final interviews this week and hopefully have a very talented and efficient mechanic on board soon. The engineering staff has been putting a large effort into an updated report for, it's called the Local Road Safety Program, and it is funded by a grant, so they're covering our staff time to make this report. We're doing it in-house, and it actually has to be done to qualify for future grants. So if we want more money for paving streets, we have to do this report. It's a very tedious effort, but they're also funding the effort, so that's good news. We will be starting a second report for safe routes to school for similar reasons. It's another subsidized program. We have to contribute some of the report effort. There's a consultant hired and funded to do the other portion. We have 2 projects that recently went out to bid called HSIP 7 and HSIP 8. They are intersection safety improvement projects that have been in design for many years. Not so much in design for many years, but the funding process is very tedious. They go through Caltrans and back and forth, and every time something happens it takes many months to even answer a question sometimes. But we got bids back, and HSIP 7, which is 4 different intersections, the bids came back $250,000 higher than Caltrans was willing to fund. So we're working with them to try and get more money. And then HSIP 8 is another intersection safety improvement. I think on San Gabriel Roses there's a lot of locations, but that'll be an overhead flashing beacon at the crosswalk. There's a church on one side, and it'll be just a pedestrian crosswalk intersection enhancement project. So that's moving forward. It goes to council for approval at the next meeting. Our sewer lift station, I did mention we have the new pumps already, and we are working on a design contract to hire somebody to install them and change the plumbing inside the wet well. They should be much more reliable. The old pumps are a deficient design, and now they're backing up almost within a month. We have to go down and clean them out the whole wet well with our Vector truck. Our GIS intern has finally inputted all the data for all the parcels for sewer flow in the city, and should be hitting run on the software this week, so we'll know what we have to do, and then we can proceed to update our sewer master plan for the city, which was a requirement of our consent judgment. And very exciting news in Public Works to figure out what we're going to do with all our sewer capital investment over the next 8 years. And I'll get to my show and tell now. So last week, I think on Monday, early Monday morning, an Edison line fell from the poles and landed in the street and was arcing. So it looked kind of like a lightning storm in the middle of the road. And for about a 20-foot section of street, it actually melted the asphalt. So crews went out there Monday. Fire responded first thing in the morning. Edison showed up shortly after and made the area safe and repaired the line. And then Public Works shows up to repair the street. So we actually had to saw cut and remove about a 20-foot patch of street and repave it. And we did it all in the same day. But what actually happens when an Edison line falls on the street and arcs, and this is why they always say stay away, it can jump around and it's incredibly dangerous, but there's so much voltage that the finished street was about here, and the line sparking actually puts so much heat into the street through the electrical short that it melts the sand component of the asphalt into glass. So the line sinks into the road as it melts the sand into a glass. So definitely stay away if you ever see a downed line of any kind. And contact Edison or Police and Fire or even Public Works. Just don't touch it. Please just report it. And right now today, we are on Stevens, just below Lugo Park. and we are doing a surprise street repair. This is a Monday, and over the weekend an Edison line fell and actually melted the asphalt. So in my hand is a sample of what happened to the street. You can kind of see here where it's less affected, it just created a trench. But down there where it was surging more, the asphalt actually melted the street. So we got pulled off what we were planning to do today, come do this work, which is what always happens in public works. So this is just a one-day repair. We have a load of hot mix in this truck here. This is actually a vibrator plate that compacts the pad. Around over here it's a little quieter. So this is our hot patch truck. There's an area here for storing some waste and tools. But this hopper here opens up on the top when you pick up loads of hot asphalt from a batch plant. And see, we have a giant propane tank, and it keeps the mix hot all day long. It can even keep it hot overnight if you don't get to use it all. But we do in San Gabriel, when we have some material left at the end of the day, which we may today, we know where a lot of our gutters or the edges of streets have crumbled away. We just use it as patch material. So we use gutters to not waste material or keep it hot using fuel all night. But eventually we can tilt this bed. There's two chutes on the back to open up so we can put drop material on the left and right side. It goes into this hopper here, and we can just shovel it into the trench and then compact it. So that's how street patch work is done. And right now I'm back at the police station, and today we relocated this trailer, which does house some supplies and some staff, which used to be here where the truck is, and we're going to repurpose this area to eventually be an outdoor locker area for the police officers. And we've done some more painting. Right now they're running new conduit to provide data to the trailer, which we'll do tomorrow. We've painted the louvers on the building. This carport I've shown in previous videos, but we've redone the whole carport. And right now we are putting in a finished surface of new hot asphalt, because the previous attempt cooled too quickly, went too thin, and the emulsion wasn't very good. It wasn't binding very well. We tried to salvage it and it wasn't good. Some days things just don't work right. So today we're applying a new, mostly 1-inch layer of hot asphalt, and we're rolling it right away before it cools. And in a few more days we will paint the parking stalls, do a little touch-up paint where it got a little banged up from the paving, and turn it over to the police. So this one side of the carport is able to house 12 cars, and there's a storage garage and then 2 more bays at the end there. So it's a busy day at the police department with public works staff. This trailer we managed to move with a forklift for the most part. We also pulled it with a truck. And it also sits on stands to keep it level and stable. But because we live in earthquake country, it also requires hold downs. So we, with that hammer drill there, hammer drill holes and then attach clamps and strap down the beams underneath, so that in an earthquake it doesn't bounce off these stands. This piece of steel sitting on the ground is the actual tongue that bolts to the steel frames. It has a ball receiver at the
Yeah, that's a
end,
new one.
just like a trailer should.
Yeah.
But it bolts up onto here, and when you're done, you remove it, slide it underneath so it doesn't stick out for as long as you're using the trailer. Also, we'll be coming by and changing some of the rotten wood. This trailer is about 20 years old, and you can see that it's pretty much dry wadded and termite damaged. So we'll change the rotten perimeter board, and then we will slip a new piece of flashing under the skirt here and put a whole new skirt around the bottom, and it should look pretty good. Oh, and then when we're all done with that, we will paint it to match the carport colors, kind of the new colors of the police department. This we painted last week. It's the old jail portion of the building. It's not currently in use. So that's the update of what's going on at the police department. So what we have here is we've sprayed the ground with an emulsion which helps the asphalt stick to the old surface. We wheelbarrow loads out and spread it with this big spreading rake. It gets spread a little higher than the adjacent area because it will get rolled and compress. Probably in about an hour from now, this last part of the parking lot will be done. Again, this is our very heavily used hot mix truck. So there's a load of hot material inside, and there are burners underneath keeping it hot. The shelf that we used before to shovel loads out into potholes in the street has been folded down so we can get the wheelbarrow right up close to it. Try to go around the other side.